I'm Rene Ritchie, and I'm a tech analyst.
I'm Georgia Dow, and I'm a psychotherapist.
And welcome to Apple Talk, where technology meets psychology.
And we talk about Facebook and Microsoft and Apple and all of the tech companies and how they interrelate with our lives.
Use and abuse us?
That too.
I'm livid, Georgia. I'm livid.
Are you livid?
James Gunn totally stole my look.
He did.
He's on the Suicide Squad junket, and it's like watching myself.
Yeah, I know.
But much younger and smarter. And probably way richer. You couldn't let me have at least
let's
this?
Let's say definitely more rich, but maybe smarter. And
He's
more
got
talented.
like the Guardians of the
Maybe.
Galaxy. He's got the Suicide Squad, and he can't let me have this.
They haven't offered it to you yet.
Oh, that's
you could
true.
rock it out. I think you'd do a great job.
Yes, I would totally. You know why? Because my reflexes are so good. Nothing goes over my head.
Nothing goes over your head.
I would catch it.
You would catch it.
I would catch it.
You would.
I also caught something else. Actually, John Gruber brought this to our collective attention. Remember there was this whole Pegasus scandal?
Yes.
Where the NSO Group, this Israeli security company who sells iOS and Android exploits to third parties, basically countries that aren't America, the UK. They can't afford their own. They outsource their exploits. It's a lot of Saudi Arabia. It's Mexico. It's Middle Eastern countries, India, surrounding areas. And those were used against journalists and activists and dissidents and all those things. And it was a huge brouhaha a week or so ago because they managed to break into even fairly recent iPhones. But Gruber remembered that back in 2017, the NSO Group testified that Facebook tried to license Pegasus code.
Wait. Oh my God, really?
Yes.
Would they do that?
Yes, it was and so this was the rationale. Facebook had been monitoring our behavior on iOS. They wanted to see which apps, iOS and Android.
Wait. Really?
Shocked am I to find gambling in this. Yeah, no, they were trying to figure out what apps we were using because then they would try to buy them, like WhatsApp or Instagram, because they considered them threats and they wanted to buy them. They wanted competitive knowledge. And they could do that on Android, but they couldn't do it on iOS anymore. Apple shut them down. So they tried this they bought this Anova VPN, offered people a free VPN so that they could monitor our behavior again. And then Apple shut that down. And then they put it out again, and they were doing it secretly and paying teenagers to use it so they could snoop on their behavior. And Apple, remember they removed their whole enterprise certificate?
Yes.
And all the Facebook internal apps shut down and they panicked? Well, it turns out they went to NSO and tried to license Pegasus code, not the part to remotely exploit iPhones, because they don't need that. People install Facebook anyway, but the ability to monitor us through the same technology that authoritarian governments use to monitor dissidents and political enemies and other parties and things.
And for me, the shocking piece to this is how this is not criminal. Like, how can they get away with doing this and not have anyone prosecuted? And barely anyone even bats an eye. And my most shocked, I was truly shocked, not fake Facebook shocked, but I was actually shocked that they're still pulling in huge profits.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, because you're talking about because the app tracking transparency didn't. Maybe it's too early for that.
Hasn't yet affected them, and they have said that probably the next quarter we're going to notice a dip. Please.
Maybe, but maybe they've just been protesting because they want our data, and it's not really going to affect their profits because advertising.
I don't know. It didn't so far.
Is ludicrously profitable no matter what you do it.
And people still use Facebook.
Yeah.
Why are people still using Facebook?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's immensely popular now with, they would call, I don't want to be Gen X, us, like our type of people. It's immensely popular still, and people use it. I mean, we're also going to spread your disinformation.
And anywhere else? You can spread it anywhere
No, it's
else.
not as easy to spread it. Anyway, like you basically have cable news and Facebook. That's the only place to spread your disinformation.
That's true. I guess other places are actually trying to monitor that
Yes.
and will shut you down.
Yes. Yep.
But still, get everyone off of Facebook, please.
So there's no evidence that they actually went through with this, and maybe they didn't need to. Maybe they figured out other ways of doing it. But that whole strategy of analyzing our behavior for any reason, of course, is offensive. Like, again, like, F you, pay me. If you want my behavior, pay me. And I guess they were with Anova, but they were doing it in a really sneaky way. But just the idea that they would look at legit, like, counter espionage or espionage spyware, like stuff that's used like not even like the nice kind, like the James Bond kind, but like the James Bond villain type
And
of
they were
spyware.
going after their users.
Yes.
Right? So this
Yes.
is also, how much respect and care, which again, no one should be shocked, but how much respect and care does Facebook even have? They're doing this to the people that are already Facebook users.
Yeah.
And even after this came out, I don't really see it anywhere. No one's batting an eye. There is no outrage. There's no pitchforks.
Yeah.
Grab your pitchforks.
And Facebook's even been successful at drumming up. Well, they pay a lot of lobbyists to go and try to like get Apple and I think in some ways Google as well into trouble because they don't want to be like what was Mark Zuckerberg's line? We need to inflict pain on Apple.
Right. And that's like again, that's an issue with should you be able to lobby governments and officials to be able to sway their votes, which is highly effective.
Yes.
So maybe they should not be allowed to do that. And all
You
big
get all
companies
the laws you
do.
pay for.
Yeah, by this law, it's only
Although Facebook
150,000.
outspends a lot of other tech companies. Although
They have to.
it hasn't helped them recently because they're getting a lot of antitrust action coming their way as well. But just the idea that what really bugs me is this idea that they seem to think it's theirs by divine right. Like it's not ours. They're not taking our thing. It's owed to them. It belongs to them. They deserve it, and we have no right to protest. It's almost like how dare we?
I don't know if that's just the spin versus I think that they say why ask permission if I can just do it and then I will say I'm sorry and we will stop if they get caught because there are no consequences. And if you enact there's no rules that really mitigate this anyways, which we need to have certain regulations in place because if not, this is what happens. But even without that, I could see Facebook trying everything out because if it's just a fine, it's a slap on the wrist, which really doesn't bother them at all. Yeah. And so it's not a percentage of how much they make. It's not, how many people they've enacted this, that each person deserves this much money for this much trauma of their privacy violated, or that there's jail time for anyone in the company.
Yeah.
And because of that, then anyone's going to try to grab as much as they can because there's nothing that's going to happen to them.
And then where there is movement and regulation, it is so far overreaching that I find it difficult, if not impossible, to support it anyway. Like in the U.S., the whole idea of what's the right way to phrase it? Like their war on Article 230, basically, and on the First Amendment, because they want to they call it freedom of speech, but it's the opposite of that. They want to control the speech.
They want it to be their speech.
Yes, they want it to be their speech.
I want to be able to say my speech, and I don't want you to say your speech.
And then in Canada, you sent me the link the other day, where they want to, like, okay idea, like, because people should understand, like, I want to make sure this is carefully phrased. First Amendment is a very U.S.-centric thing. A lot of other countries believe the government's job is to regulate speech. Like we have anti-hate laws in Canada, and they want to enforce that, but like with a 24-hour turnaround on platforms.
It's the way that you enact it that then can be that slippery slope that then makes governments say, well, we should just let people say anything. Not being able to say anything and being able to say anything are both two sides of an issue, and they're both problems where issues can come out and where you're trying to incite violence or trying to discriminate. It can have actual effects where people can die.
And our fines are astronomical, like percentages of gross income for the companies. But there's also no protections against abuses. So, for example, if there is hate speech, you could order a takedown. But you could just brigade like LGBTQ plus or what's the right word for it? Any group you don't like, any marginalized group you don't like, you could just brigade that and it'll be instantly taken down.
Yes.
And it'd be very difficult to get it put back up.
Yes.
Like there's no protection against that sort of abuse in the system.
And if you are a individual person, you can't really fight it. It's not an easy thing to be able to fight, to be able to understand what you have to fight. And so it ends up making people, the freedom of being able to have dialogue and discourse becomes really small, which is another issue.
Yeah.
Because let's say it, when people hear something that they don't like, they go rail against this and try to battle it in every single way, shape possible. And then people are just not going to say anything at all.
And this is like, we're not being too provincial here. This is the Canadian version because it's in the news right now. But Germany and many other European countries are flirting, if not in process, of making very similar laws. And if we've seen anything with the EU and the way like we now have those cookie things everywhere, like it was a good idea, but so badly implemented that we now have cookie fatigue. Because every website we go to has this big pop-up.
And they're not the cookies we get to eat cookies.
No.
These are not happy cookies.
No, these are tracking cookies. And it's just like, find the goal you want and then reverse engineer it. And then, but make sure it's the right goal.
And you need to have the knowledge behind that to be able to understand what you're dealing with.
Yeah, get experts, including experts from these companies, because there are people in these companies that care desperately about this stuff. Like, even if the CEOs don't, there are people within the companies that care about it.
Maybe independent people. I don't know. The people that are working for the companies, I'm sure that they will be touting the company's needs.
You know who they should hire?
Who should they hire?
Elon Musk.
Really? Now, why should they hire Elon Musk?
Because he could be like the CEO of everything. He'd be the CEO of Apple.
Yeah, I heard that he wanted that.
So this is the weirdest story. The gist of this story, it's from a new book coming out, and it was reviewed in the LA Times, and the excerpt, which is apparently the only juicy excerpt in the entire book, is that Tim Cook called up Elon Musk and said, we want to buy Tesla. And Elon said, cool, I want to be CEO. And Tim was like, CEO of Tesla? You want to stay CEO of Tesla? I mean, we can talk about that. Elon's like, no, I want to be CEO of Apple. And then Tim Cook dropped the Tim bomb, the Tim F bomb on him and hung up. And Elon Musk says this never happened. He wanted to sell Tesla to Apple when he called it their darkest hour, when it looked like they weren't going to get Model 3 production going on Tesla. And Tim Cook wouldn't even take the meeting. And Tim Cook said he'd never spoken to Elon Musk, but there is a picture of them together from 2016 at a White House function where there's just like the CEO of Oracle in between them. So this is where we are with that story.
But this is how rumors start, right? Like, they become like this little tiny fire, and then everyone amplifies it, and then it becomes truth, right? Like, people don't really care about we've become really lazy, right? Like, we don't even read the article anymore. Like, we'll just read the title. Whatever the title says, we see it enough times, we now believe that this is what happened. And the problem with that is that, like, so Tim Cook says that they've never talked.
Yes.
Elon Musk says they've never talked, they've never even written to each other.
Yes.
Now, why would they lie? Like, Elon Musk, like, Tim Cook is one is I don't see him dropping the F-bomb for that.
Yes.
Like, it would take a lot. He seems to be very down to earth.
Well, he has said bloody. He has said bloody in public before.
I say bloody in public all the time. I know,
Okay.
I do.
He doesn't care about the bloody ROI, Georgia.
And that's about as fiery as
Yeah.
I've seen him get. And even that, his tone is still
He's a
pretty
Southern
placid.
gentleman.
He's very
Go War
courteous.
Eagles.
But Elon Musk does not have much of a filter.
No.
He should have Twitter sometimes taken.
He has
sometimes
no
he
upper
should
brain
put his phone down.
What does it mean to have no upper brain mediation?
He doesn't have none.
Okay.
But when he gets upset, he will just throw out whatever he cares to.
Yes.
And
He'll meme.
he'll do many things. He'll say things that he should not say.
Yes.
So I don't see him. Who is he protecting?
He wouldn't protect Cook.
He wouldn't protect
No.
Tim Cook, and it would not ruin his reputation.
He would drive the Cybertruck over Tim Cook and then back up and drive it over him
right?
again.
And he doesn't mind saying things that are out there. So
Yes.
I don't see him like there's no benefit to him to
Yes.
lie. And so if they're both saying exactly the same story and their personality types, it fits with that. Tim Cook does not see, like, I don't see him lying about something so small. Everyone can lie, but I don't see him lying about
like
something
if there was a
this small.
CEO of Oracle between us and we didn't know each other, could we have like
100%.
Yeah?
100%
like
that
he
could
wouldn't
happen.
go good morning and then go back to
No, because they are this was in a White House official meeting.
Yeah.
You should not speak unless spoken to.
Yes.
There are lots of things
and
happening.
Tim was not like by his like if you do facial reading,
Yes.
he was not happy to be there.
This was like awkward. It
Yeah.
looked awkward. Everyone looked a little bit awkward. Everyone looked like they were there in an official capacity to be able to say something. I don't think that anyone would want to be paying attention to someone else. And if you've ever gone to a conference or a meeting, I've sat with like other people that I've worked with, and like we sometimes give each other the eye, and I know them already. I've already spoken to them, and we're like, but I don't want to interrupt the speaker because it's something very important.
So
that
he
I'm
wasn't
attending.
like Elon wasn't showing Tim the Anakin meme.
This is not high school, right?
When you think the PNG has a transparent background and it doesn't.
No, I wouldn't. I could see this happening, right? Like you would say, like, oh, could it be possible? 100% this could be possible. And again, like the picture looks a little bit damning because they're kind of close to each other. Like they are pretty close, but they weren't chatting.
No.
They were sitting, looking at someone, looking very serious, having to be there in an official capacity, and it's probably better for them not to say anything because they may offend someone.
And Elon seems upset that Tim wouldn't even take his meeting, because he said originally in the original tweet 2 years ago that Tesla was worth 1/10 of what it was worth now, as if like, oh Tim, you screwed up. And now he says it's like 6% of what it is now.
I don't know if it was upset or it sounded
Well, like
embarrassed.
he thought it was rude. Yeah, that Tim wouldn't take the meeting maybe.
I think that he was a little bit embarrassed that he has to admit that Tim didn't take the meeting. Like he didn't even answer. Like there wasn't even a meeting set up. It wasn't a okay at some point. Because now his company is really big, and so I think that he mentioned that because his ego was a little bit hurt.
Yeah, and now he's strutting.
So now a little bit of a flex of like, we were only this big, and this is why Tim Cook didn't talk to me. And so again, I see him saying, if they talk to me, I fully see Elon Musk going like, of course he talked to me. I'm Elon Musk.
Yeah, back then it was big bank take little bank, and now he's got a medium-sized bank.
Yeah, I believe them. I believe them both. I don't believe the hype. I don't think that happened. It doesn't fit their personality type, and they both say the same story.
So what do you think about this going so viral? Like obviously for me it was like all about publicity, but like we still nobody cared. To put this in Captain Picard terms, he wanted his tea spilled, Earl Grey, hot, and he got Darjeeling, but it was still tea. You know what I mean? It's like it was fake, but it was still gossip, and so it still spread.
Anytime that you like, this was so spicy. Like even just saying, like Tim Cook said, like someone created that.
Yes, it was engineered.
Right? Yeah, because like how would have anyone heard? Like Tim Cook had other people in the room while he's dropping the bomb.
Higgins, the author, not Higgins from Magnum PI. I made that mistake too. Higgins, the author, said that. It was a story that was passed around inside Tesla that they heard from Elon Musk, and so I was wondering if it was like maybe right after the Joe Rogan podcast when Elon was feeling just a little too happy.
Right. I think that someone was just someone says a joke, someone else thinks like it's like the broken telephone.
Yes.
Where one person says something, someone else hears it offhand, and then it just spreads like wildfire. So I think it was probably something that's closer to that, because, again, so if it was someone on, like, he was on speakerphone with Tim Cook? Like, do you stay on speakerphone when you're talking to Tim Cook? That's already sounds, and they weren't that big then. They were desperate. Like, so I don't see him, like, maybe Elon Musk said something with an F-bomb about Tim Cook, and someone else said, Tim Cook said the F-bomb to Elon Musk, and it kind of blew out of proportion. And because they're huge figures, because anytime you mention Apple, like you mentioned Tim Cook sneezes and things happen, and it
gets
go
reblogged.
viral.
It gets reblogged.
So this one is really interesting. And people that we look up to, we want to consume as much information about it.
Yeah. And Elon said he doesn't want to be CEO of anything, which I think tracks. Like, the dude just wants to go to Mars.
Yeah, he's done.
Anything that's not having to do with Mars, he has no interest
Why
in.
Why does he have to anymore? Why work?
Because he wants to go to Mars.
Because like everyone else would be like, ooh, CEO, of course he'd want. No, it's work. Yeah. He doesn't need to work. He can just do fun projects that he wants to.
Well, but I don't think that's true. I think he desperate, he has his entire will bent upon getting to Mars, and that's why you have Tesla. That's why you have SpaceX.
Work for him.
Well, sure.
That is for him. His way of blowing up his own name.
Well, I don't know.
Him owning Apple is not.
Yeah, Apple doesn't help him. No. But it's like he's got this single-minded fixation on this to the
nth degree.
Yeah, but like nothing else matters in this universe except him getting to Mars.
He has his one goal, and it's not owning Apple. So it doesn't make sense either for him to want to, and I can completely understand that. He should pursue the things that are fun for him. Apple's not going to Mars.
Yes, Apple have too many. I just want to build a rocket. You can't, Elon. You have a shareholders meeting.
Yeah.
Yes. We've seen how much he tolerates that.
He would have to work.
Yeah, I don't give a damn about the iPhone unless you make it a Martian communicator.
No, I don't see him caring what color an iPhone is or why this. It's not even his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So I don't see him wanting to do that.
And the fit and finish on the Macs would be terrible. Like the cheese grater wouldn't fit right on the top. It would just the whole. Is that too soon?
But it would open up really cool.
Yeah, it would have beautiful
then
I
would get my glowing back icon with a little tiny stand.
But only if you're one of the first
phone.
100 people to order it.
Then I might be the first. We would be back in line. Remember when we used to do that, Rene? We used to wait in line for the iPhone.
Oh God.
At the iPhone place, we would wait for a day. And
all right.
sit there.
All right. So
Sorry, am I not supposed to out us?
no, that was great. It was a whole cultural movement. I mean, in some ways I'm sad that those are over because those were sort of like an event.
We did it for work though too.
But Angela
so-
Ahrens didn't want. She thought it was a bad customer experience. She wanted people to be able to get their iPhones and not have to camp out. So she made the ordering process.
It was
more
a
involved.
good. She did a good job with
Yes.
it. She did a good job, but I missed.
But the marketing people hated that because that was such a big story every year. Was all the people lined up for iPhones.
Yep.
So we still have our bonus segment for you. So if you're a Nebula subscriber, just stick with us. We're going to get right into that.
And if you're not, why aren't you?
You should be. You totally should be. And you can be for $15 a year. And you get Curiosity Stream, which has awesome documentaries and series about everything, including Mars. There's How to Pack for Mars, which I thought was, like, I would pack all the wrong things. I found it. I watched this documentary.
Can you pack Earth?
No. You know why? It doesn't fit in your carry-on.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oversized item fee for Earth is something. Although they should Elon should just make engines on Earth and then he could move us.
If we can terraform Mars, why don't we just fix Earth? Other
Even
thought.
Dr. Manhattan
Just
couldn't
saying.
terraform Mars. Yeah, that's true. Why don't we fix Earth?
Yeah.
That's an idea, Georgia. Ship
Maybe.
it. Ship it. $15 a year gets you Curiosity Stream, all their documentaries, all their series, and a Nebula subscription for free, which has my videos, Georgia's videos, MKBHD, iPhone Doe, Jordan Harrod, Alex the Low Spec Gamer, just so many good videos. Just go to curiositystream.com/Apple Talk, sign up, and you'll get an email with your Curiosity Stream account, a second email. Curiosity Stream. I just said it again. Curiosity Stream. Second email with your Nebula account, and you'll be good to go. And if you're not doing that, Georgia, where can people find you?
You can check me out. I'm on Twitter. It's Georgia_Dow. My email, Georgia@westmounttherapy.com. And if you're dealing with anxiety or depression, it's anxiety-videos.com.
And you can find me at youtube.com/Rene Ritchie or at Rene Ritchie.
Oh, yeah, I'm on YouTube too. Yeah, I forgot
where's
about
YouTube?
that. It's youtube.com/GeorgiaDow.
Yes.
Did I do it right this time?
Yes, you did. You did.
Okay, sorry.
And then I'm also at Rene Ritchie on Instagram, but not on
Snapchat?
TikTok. No,
TikTok, one of
I'm the Rene Ritchie.
The real Rene Ritchie?
Real Rene Ritchie. Real Rene Ritchie.
Real Rene Ritchie.
Real Rene.
No,
just real Rene Ritchie. I figure if it's good for Dr. Mike, it's good for me. So check that out. See you next time.